everybody. Today I wanted to do envelope journals. This was the kind of journal that I wanted to do with my students, but I wanted to give them something more durable like hardcover, but I knew that I could do an envelope journal within an hour, 15-minute session, because all you do is that you get an envelope, you put some cardstock in it, or really the back of those pads that's a little bit stronger, you fold it over, and here you have your cover. I had a bone folder, but I just used the ruler because that was what I had. And I don't have any more fabric glue, which I so love that fabric glue. But this craft glue, Elmer's Craft Bond, works really great. I just really prefer my Fabri-Tac. And sometimes I use Elmer's glue as well. And so if you have that on hand, that should work. So the Elmer Strong Glue or this Craft Bond glue, or if you have fabric glue, you just want to get full coverage, and then you will use your fabric. So I strive to have fabric on the inside. Sometimes I use paper, but most times when I have a fabric cover, I like to have a fabric on the inside as well. In my video for my students, we use tea-dyed paper as the inside as well, so that's something that I do. But I definitely usually prefer having fabric on the inside cover as well. Here I'm using avocado skin dyed paper, and this is just like where I boiled avocado skins and I soaked like copy paper in it for about 15 minutes. Then I put it in the oven at 250 degrees Fahrenheit, and probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it was dry enough to use. I also like to use some pattern paper, but most of the time when I do this for any class, it's just like straight blank or ruled paper. But sometimes it's nice to add a lot of interest. When you come across a page that has a design on it, it might spark some creativity. And so I'm just cutting down those pattern papers to the size of those copy paper, that will fit inside this book. And the good thing about this, why I thought about doing it for class, is that it's only one signature to sew. And for this, I'm just showing you how I make one of those pages, how I make it into one of those pages with pockets. I basically just fold it over so that there's a pocket, and I'll glue down the sides later on. But for this one, only the cover, the inside cover will have those pockets. And the other thing too is that for this one, since it's only one signature, you only need to create one sewing line. And I'm just using the basic stitch that has 3 points. I'm going to make 3 holes with my awl, and as you know, you can also use a thumbtack. And so I have those holes, one at the top, one at the bottom, one in the middle, and that's all you'll need for sewing. The next thing I do, of course, is to align it, just to make sure that I make the holes on the signature in the place that connects to the sewing line. Sometimes I just wing it, and because my needle has such a sharp point, I just make the holes as I am sewing it. But just for purposes of demonstration, I'm showing you how to ensure that your signature lines up perfectly with those stitching incisions. Now we're ready for sewing. And as usual, I am using wax thread and a craft needle. And as I said, I think this is about size 16 to 18. Those are the sizes of the needles that I like to use, that it has a nice sharp point and a large eye, and it doesn't give me as much trouble when I have to sew the signature. And of course, start in the middle, go to the bottom or the top, and go through the middle again, just making sure you don't snag it. And then pull it taut and then to the top. Just remember to keep that tail in the middle, because you're going to need it for when you're going to do your tie off. Just ensure once you pull it through and put it under, you'll pull it taut so that it's really secure in there. I always like to knot it twice. That's how I learned, and it always makes sense to me to do it twice so that it won't unravel. And that's basically it. I'm just going to have to glue down my pockets and round up the edges, and it's ready for use. And so in some ways I wish I had done this with my students, because it is a quick and easy way for them to do it, and they have the materials on hand. Let's say maybe they don't have the pattern paper, but they have copy paper. They might have an envelope, they might have cardstock, They might have regular glue, you know. And so I think this is, and fabric, lots of fabric they might have around the place. They're not really using it. Maybe they're converting an old piece of clothing, you know. So in some ways I wish I had done this version with them, but I did want to give them the experience of making a hardcover journal. It's just that it took longer for one of the classes. But that's why I'm kind of making this video too, and I will probably post this on our page, our class page, so that if they want to try this method, for those of them who are having trouble with the hardcover, they could also try this. I made this by sewing on a button on one side, making an incision on the back, and looping a piece of I think that is suede or like leather through. Sometimes I use an elastic. And the other way you've seen me do many times before, which is to make 2 holes and thread through some ribbon and just put a brad in. And that's basically what I did. But we'll show you what I did with the other one, because I haven't really done a closure like this before. So I'll show you what I did with that one. So I basically made 2 holes. I mean, I meant to make one, but it didn't line up, so I made another hole. And so what I did in the end was that this was like a piece of extra fabric that was from the inside cover that I was showing you before, and I did it for this book as well. And so I just threaded through those 2 holes and tied it off. And then I just used one side and wrapped it around, and then one other side I put through the front cover and made a bow, and that's basically it. And I like how rustic it looks. Alright guys, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and walk good.